Canada is changing. And for many of us, it's not for the better. You might see the headlines about people leaving, but it's not because we suddenly started hating the snow or grew tired of being polite. We're Canadians. We're built for this. No, this is something much deeper. It's a slow-motion breakup with the Canadian dream we all worked so hard to build. We're diving into the top 5 Canadian regions people are fleeing like it's a fire drill, and the reasons go way beyond weather or vibes. This isn't about "it's cold." Canada is always cold. This is about trust, infrastructure, and when the cost of living stops living up to the cost. Some regions have food prices so high they feel like spiritual punishment. Others have job markets collapsing like wet cardboard. And one region is so isolated you need a plane, a snowmobile, and emotional support to get groceries. Think you know which region is number 1? Think again. One of them looks like paradise on a postcard, until you check the grocery bill and realize you just paid $19 for grapes. Let's get into it. 5. Northern British Columbia. Beautiful, empty, and getting emptier. Northern BC looks like a postcard. Mountains, rivers, forests, views that make you want to quit your job and become a full-time hiker. But living here? That's a different story. Forestry jobs have declined. Mining towns boom and bust like unstable crypto coins. And young people? They're leaving faster than you can say Prince George property taxes. Communities like Terrace, Prince Rupert, and Fort St. John have seen stagnation or decline for years. Imagine driving 2 hours to buy socks. That's northern BC. Healthcare is limited. Broadband is spotty. Housing is cheap, but only because demand is low. And isolation. It's not romantic. It's exhausting. Northern BC isn't collapsing. It's thinning out. Slowly. Quietly. Predictably. People aren't leaving because they hate nature. They're leaving because nature is the only thing left. And here's the emotional punch. Families who've lived here for generations are watching their kids move away. Not for adventure, but for survival. But if you think northern BC is isolated, wait until you see the place where groceries cost more than rent. 4. Nunavut. The most expensive fridge on Earth. Nunavut isn't just remote, it's cosmically remote. Living here feels like being subscribed to a survival documentary you didn't sign up for. Food prices? 2 to 3 times higher than the Canadian average. A bag of grapes? $18. A frozen pizza? $25. A watermelon? Mortgage your house. Housing? There basically isn't any. Overcrowding is so severe that multiple families share single homes, and waiting lists stretch for years. Jobs, limited. Healthcare? Often requires flying to another province. Mental health support? Even more limited. And the cold? Let's just say your eyelashes freeze before your regrets do. Living here feels like being left behind. Nunavut is that feeling, but colder. Young people leave for education, jobs, or simply the chance to buy groceries without needing a second income. Crime is rising, infrastructure is aging, and climate change is literally reshaping the land beneath people's feet. Imagine paying $14 for a carton of eggs, and that's a sale. That's Nunavut. People aren't fleeing because they want to. They're fleeing because staying feels like a full-time job with no benefits. But if you think Nunavut is struggling, there's a province where the economy collapsed, revived, collapsed again, and is now quietly fading. 3. Newfoundland and Labrador. The province that's slowly disappearing. Newfoundland and Labrador is stunning. Rugged cliffs, friendly people, cod jokes that never die. But behind the charm is a demographic crisis so deep it makes economists sweat. Between 2016 and 2023, the province lost tens of thousands of residents. Entire towns are shrinking, schools are closing, and the population is aging faster than anywhere else in Canada. Why? Because the jobs left first. The cod fishery collapsed. Oil boomed, then busted. Young people graduate and immediately book a one-way ticket to Alberta. Picture this. You grow up in a small coastal town. You know everyone. Everyone knows you. And then one day, you realize half the houses are empty. Entire towns are turning into museum pieces held together by nostalgia and dollar stores. That's Newfoundland, but with more fog. The emotional cost is brutal. Parents watch their kids leave. Grandparents watch their families scatter. Communities shrink until they feel like memories. And here's the kicker. Even the people who stay don't expect their kids to stay. Newfoundland isn't dying, it's draining. Slowly, quietly, predictably. But if you think Newfoundland is fading, there's a province where people leave not because they want to, but because staying feels like running on a treadmill missing half the belt. 2. New Brunswick. Canada's quiet exodus, the province that whispers while everyone leaves. New Brunswick doesn't make noise. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't collapse dramatically like a Hollywood building explosion. It just quietly empties out. If Canada had a background province, this would be it. Beautiful, calm, polite, and losing people like it's a seasonal sale. For years, New Brunswick has been stuck in a loop. Low wages, limited job opportunities, aging population, young people leaving, repeat. The province has one of the oldest populations in Canada, and the economic growth rate often lags behind the national average. And here's the kicker. Even when jobs exist, they often don't pay enough to keep people. Imagine paying $1,200 for rent and still leaving because there's no work. That's New Brunswick's paradox. Housing is affordable, yes, but affordability doesn't matter if your paycheck looks like a rounding error. Rural communities are hollowing out, schools are merging, hospitals are understaffed, and young people? They're leaving faster than Moncton traffic disappears at 8 p.m. It feels like watching your kids move away and knowing they had to. That's New Brunswick, perfectly. Families aren't leaving because they want to. They're leaving because staying feels like choosing stability over opportunity, and losing both. Even the cities aren't safe from the drain. St. John, Moncton, Fredericton, all losing young workers to Ontario, Alberta, or literally anywhere with a tech job and a Starbucks. And here's the emotional gut punch. People don't talk about leaving New Brunswick with anger. They talk about it with sadness, with guilt, with the quiet resignation of someone who knows they're abandoning a place they love because the place stopped loving them back. But if you think New Brunswick is struggling, there's a province where winter feels like a personal attack, crime feels like a side quest, and the population graph looks like a ski slope. 1. Manitoba. Cold, costly, and criminally underrated, in all the wrong ways. Manitoba is the province that tries. It really does. But life here feels like a series of boss fights with no save points. Winnipeg is the beating heart of Manitoba, and it's losing people. Not because it's boring, not because it's flat, but because life here is getting harder. Crime rates in Winnipeg are among the highest in the country. Housing is affordable, but wages aren't keeping up. And the winters? They're not just cold. They're your car won't start, and neither will your will to live cold. You walk outside in January. It's 12 degrees with wind that physically insults you. Manitoba read that and said, "Cute." Let's talk winter. In Manitoba, winter isn't a season. It's a personality, a hostile one. The kind that would steal your lunch money and then freeze your tears before they hit the ground. Imagine scraping ice off your windshield. From the inside. That's Manitoba. But the cold isn't the only problem. The job market is stagnant. Young people leave for Alberta, BC, or Ontario, anywhere with higher wages and fewer frostbite warnings. Rural Manitoba is shrinking even faster. Hospitals are understaffed, schools are consolidating, and small towns are fighting to stay alive. Entire communities feel like they're aging in real time. You can drive through some towns and count the number of young adults on one hand and still have fingers left to hold your Tim Hortons cup. And then there's Winnipeg, a city with incredible culture, amazing food, and crime rates that make you check your car twice before going to bed. Break-ins, theft, vandalism, it's all rising. People aren't leaving because they hate Winnipeg. They're leaving because they're tired of feeling unsafe. Driving here feels like playing Russian roulette with your suspension. In Winnipeg, it's your nerves. And here's the emotional core. Manitoba is full of people who love their province deeply, but feel like the province isn't loving them back. They're tired. Tired of the cold, tired of the crime, tired of the stagnation, tired of watching their kids leave and knowing they won't come back. Manitoba isn't dying, but it's bleeding. Slowly, quietly, predictably. So what does all this mean for Canada? Canada isn't emptying out, but it is shifting. People are leaving regions that feel forgotten and moving toward places with opportunity, stability, and hope. Some regions will boom, others will fade, and some might disappear entirely. If this breakdown made you rethink your next move, or made you Google cheapest province in Canada, go ahead and like the video, and subscribe for more brutally honest breakdowns, free therapy with more sarcasm and fewer copays.